Hey everyone, welcome to Quick Hits. I am your host, Sean Pierce, President and CEO of Dental Peers, and of course, the people that bring you Quick Hits. And today we are joined for the third time as a charm by one of my favorite guests, fitness fanatic, one of my friends from far away California, Katrina Klein, the woman behind ErgoFit Life, who can give you some great coaching tips and instructions to make sure that you are doing everything right from a positional and ergonomic perspective in your dental practice. Tips galore. And in fact, that's what we covered in a lot of the previous iterations where she's been on the program. But she is also a personal trainer and a fitness competitor, you might recall. And so today she's going to take some of those aspects and we're going to be talking about things to do with how we can, I guess, take a bit of a preventative approach to some of the ailments that can affect people in the dental industry by making sure our fitness is up to snuff. So we'll be talking about the good, the bad, but not the ugly when it comes to fitness exercises and ideals that you can take. So Katrina, welcome back. How are you doing?
Thank you, Sean. I'm great. I appreciate another opportunity to come on and share some information with some people.
Well, we're very appreciative of your taking that opportunity, and you're ready to give everyone a real tough workout today. Look, showing the gun, showing the gun.
Always.
All right. So that's great. We're going to be, as I said, taking a little bit more of the preventative approach from the standpoint of things that people can do outside the dental practice or outside their operatories to make sure that their bodies are as strong and as well prepared for the rigors of day-to-day practice. So when it comes to that, what do you sort of see? I mean, there's going to be some exercises that are good, some that are bad. What do you think are some of the best ones that dental professionals should make sure they're doing on a regular basis?
Well, I love that you mentioned, things that we do preventatively, because just like a track star doesn't go to the track without conditioning, we really, as what I consider us to be dental athletes, shouldn't go into the operatory without being prepared. And that goes beyond throwing on some scrubs, a ponytail, and some shoes, right? We need to make sure that we walk in there with enough musculoskeletal integrity to hold good posture so that we can do our job ergonomically and therefore do our job effectively, make sure that we're getting good patient care. So that I love, because that really is the crux of everything that I talk about, is using fitness both as prevention, but then when we fail a little bit, we can also use it as treatment. So what I say as far as what we should do, okay, exercises we should do, everything regarding posture enhancement. So that's going to be strengthening your stabilizers, strengthening your back muscles, strengthening the glute and hip complex, the legs too. Even though we do a lot of sitting in dentistry, the legs and the glutes are the largest stabilizers in our body. And so if we don't strengthen them, we lose the muscular integrity to hold ourselves upright. So those are some first things. And of course, when it comes to glute exercises, if you think about the body as a hinge, and here you're standing, when you're hinging over, the thing that makes you stand back up is your glutes. So if you want to be able to keep yourself upright, you need to strengthen the posterior chain of your body, which is the back, the glutes, the shoulders, the neck, all that good stuff. So as far as exercises, hip bridges, squats, things like that's going to work for the glutes. Core work. Core is huge for dental people. So we want to make sure that we're doing things that require balance or instability exercises. Isolation moves, doing planks. We all know that, time is of an issue. Try doing a plank in a minute. You'll know how much that is uncomfortable and will work your core. There's nothing like a plank minute, right? So,
planks are definitely a challenge. I think my personal best ever is 4.5 minutes.
Good for you. Yeah, I think that mine is 4.5 or 5 as well. I probably get bored. So
that becomes a problem. You definitely need some good tunes on.
Yes. Well, our good friend Alan Stern, he's done 6 minutes, and he listens to music or books or something. I just all hail because I can't do it. Not yet. I will someday if I want. But yeah, planks are definitely good for us. Crunches, not traditional sit-ups. Traditional sit-ups are actually really bad for the body. Most chiropractors will tell you that because it actually messes with the fragile vertebrae, that the little phalanges that come off the side there, the facets, they can fracture when you do a traditional sit-up. So just crunches, really contracting your abs. One thing that I will oftentimes tell people to do is practice contracting your abs while breathing and speaking. And if you do that, you're working those abs and developing your core in the proper way, because breathing through exercise is truly the most effective way to develop musculature. So that is huge. In fact, I usually will practice breathing and contracting my abs while speaking, just so that I can demonstrate that. Another thing is back exercises. So for dental professionals, working the back is equivalent to paying your mortgage insurance. This is what's going to keep you from having that hunch, having those internally rotated shoulders, that super tight chest, elevated shoulders, the knots that get between the shoulder blades and the spine that hurt, that your massage therapist is constantly trying to get out and almost never can. So those things, if you can strengthen your back, strengthen your posture muscles, get the ability to keep those neuromuscular patterns where you hold your shoulders back and down, that will all contribute to keeping neutral posture. Because at the end of the day, neutral posture and maintaining that position is what's going to keep you from pain. So any back exercise in particular is going to be an exercise where you're pulling toward you. And whether you're doing it from home or you're doing it at a gym, that's always a consistent pull motion, be it in front of you, pulling towards you. So I'll go to the side and I'll kind of demonstrate that. So pulling towards you, pulling down for you, those are both pulling motions. And those are things that we want to do. Always proper, make sure that you keep those shoulders back and down and then engage the muscle to create that movement. Adding resistance always should come after good form, of course. But you can do these things from home with a resistance band. Some people are still not comfortable going back into a gym. That's okay. Get a shampoo and conditioner bottle and do some rows. You know, get a rowing machine. That's a great back cardio exercise. And also if you do it outside, it's kind of not what it is. If the environment provides you a place you can do that. I know. Are you getting any snow there in Canada?
The snow is done for now. We're thank God, you know, we're into May now. It's May 6th as we're recording this. So I'm happy to say that there's no snow on the ground. It has actually happened in the past that we've gotten snow in the early parts of May, but it is a little bit of a rare thing at this point.
Okay.
So I think we're out of the woods on that one. But I was thinking too, you know, as the dental profession's that disadvantage, like you say, where the back, they spend so much time hunched over, shoulders forward, leaning forward. And then what are so many of us doing in our free time when we're away from operatories is we're hunched forward, leaning forward, looking at our phones.
Correct. Yeah, that overhead posture that comes from this action all day long, on top of which our heads are in a patient's mouth all day long, you know, and then we're down looking at our computers and our paperwork. So we spend so much time like this. What we really need to do is work on putting ourselves back into this neutral posture. And if you have the muscular integrity to do that, you have it developed and strong enough, you can do that, right? But if you don't have that muscle, it can't do it. You know, the skeleton doesn't hold itself up. The muscle holds the bones where they're supposed to be. And that's the benefit of chiropractic and strength training and how they can marry. And if you've got a good chiropractor, they'll always tell you, okay, I've adjusted you. I'll put your bones back where they belong. Now go strengthen. Because now you can actually create strength. It's almost like doing a brick wall and then putting all of the mortar in between. Now it can stay. But if we don't do that, we just go to the chiropractor and we don't do any strength training. We're going right back to the chiropractor when it comes and it flips out again. Yeah.
And yeah, I love it. I mean, you know, the core, as you say, that's absolutely vital. Everything happens in that central area of the body. So it's got to be a good anchor for all the other parts, everything that extends outwards from it, our arms, our legs, you know, everything. The more we can strengthen and focus on that, you know, I mean, you see that it's not you see it out of professional sports, right? I mean, that's become a mantra of professional sports these days in terms of fitness training is how strong is their core.
Right. Yeah. That's why yoga is such a good thing for dental professionals and really for everyone. And while I am a certified personal trainer and a bodybuilder, I'm not a yoga instructor, but I really appreciate what yoga does for us. It really strengthens the core. It's not going to do a lot of strengthening and muscle development for the other parts of the body, which is why I think a good combination of both is important. But what yoga provides for us is the ability to strengthen the core and also stretch. And stretching is vital to, maintaining muscles that do not, get super tight and then tear, rip, those things that we don't really want to have happen. So, yeah.
And we're going to touch on that a little bit more, but we've covered a lot of the good parts in terms of things to focus on in the world of exercising and strengthening the body to have it ready, operatory fit. What about some of the things that maybe people do and should rethink because maybe that's not helping them as much as they want to believe?
So one of the things that is a major misconception is we should not strengthen our chest muscles because they're really tight. So that is false. That is definitely not accurate. In order for the body to remain balanced, we need to create symmetry in our body, right? So that doesn't mean everyone needs to do 100,000 push-ups a day. It just means, yes, we need to strengthen our chest. But because we have the propensity to have really tight chest because of our positioning, we want to make sure that we stretch it twice as much as we strengthen it. So what I'd say not to do is don't neglect your chest muscles. Just make sure that you're adequately stretching them. And then as far as exercises to not do, I strongly caution people on exercises that would include a lot of fast inertia type movements where you see a lot of times like in CrossFit. I love functional exercise, but when you're lifting as fast as you can and you're doing some of these Olympic lifts with speed, the rotator cuff has four tiny muscles, four very, very tiny muscles. And when you're throwing 100 and something pounds over your body and just hoping that it lands, we are already prone to shoulder issues in dentistry. So while it can be fun for some people and maybe not quite as dangerous, dental professionals really should stay clear of those types of things, where you're just using a lot of erratic movement. One reason that I do tend to favor bodybuilding is because it's slow and controlled. If you feel like something's going wrong, you can immediately stop and you don't have to worry about it. The other thing is going away from things where it's kind of similar, but where you're just throwing weight in the air and then you're like dropping the barbell. And you whether not only is it dangerous for the people around you because you can scare someone while they're in the middle of an exercise, but also again, it's that boom, you're fully contracting and then releasing all of a sudden, the muscles may not have time to do what they're supposed to do. So I would caution people from doing things that require erratic, quick, speed-focused movements. As many as you can in 60 seconds is never a good recipe for muscle. You might get atrophy that way, you might get hypertrophy that way. You might get muscle growth that way, but your increased chances of injury are significant. So I would caution those types of things. And then the other thing the other top thing I would definitely stay away from is anything involving the upper traps. And dental professionals, we have a tendency to do this all the time. So our upper traps are over engaged. I never do any upper trap exercises and I look like I do. And it's just because we almost can't help some of the things that we do. So don't do shrugs underweight. That's not good for you. We don't need help in Alabama. Work on your quads or your core instead. Better ways to spend your time than overdeveloped muscle work.
And to be perfectly honest, this is just my own opinion. Maybe other people would have a different view on it. I don't find shoulder shrugs to be that effective an exercise anyway.
Most people don't do them correctly. So that's the thing. If you're not doing an exercise correctly, and I see this in the gym all the time, I'll see someone who will spend 3 hours doing 10,000 movements, but really only 2,000 or 3,000 of those movements are effective movements. And shrugs are ones that are easily done incorrectly. based on forward head posture or the shoulder and rotations, all of the things. And they're really not the easiest way to develop those upper trap muscles anyway. It's just
Yeah.
one extra movement. So yeah, I would just stay clear of those. Unless you're training for Mr. Olympia, in which case it's a whole different situation. That's not you and I.
No, definitely not. Definitely not me. It looks cool too because you get it's an easy exercise to stack on a lot of weight. So boy, don't I look strong? Look how much weight I'm moving here.
Right. Yeah, we call that ego lifting.
Yep, exactly. And that's another thing to avoid. Don't lift with your ego.
That was my next thing is leave the ego at the door. When you go into the gym, consider or at home, whenever you do your workout, consider a few things. Did I sleep well last night? Am I hydrated enough? Did I get 4 hours of sleep? Did I get enough food? Don't walk in thinking automatically that you're going to do the exact same weight as you did before. If you're feeling a lot more energy and you've been on track and whatever, you haven't skipped a week or a month in the gym, then yeah, you can kind of go back and knowing about where you were. But I highly encourage starting with what you know you can do safely and then increase from there. You can always increase and do an extra set. It's not worth it to walk in, slam on every bit of weight that you've ever done, and then go for it. You want a warm-up set every time, no matter how experienced you are. You don't walk in with cold muscles and start lifting weight. Whether it's CrossFit style, weightlifting style, sitting at home style, it doesn't matter. Give yourself a 5-minute warm-up before you start exercising and get some blood into those muscles so that they can do their job. So thank you for that one. Yeah, ego lifting, check the ego at the door. It doesn't help you at all.
No. I've learned that one the hard way. As I've gotten older now, I figured out that's definitely not a smart move.
The body is not quite as forgiving as we get older. It lets you know real quick that you need to slow down, sir.
Yep, exactly. And the other thing I like that you touched on too was that that idea with respect to the explosive movements, whether it was a CrossFit, a powerlifting, stuff like that. And you're going to see other people in the gym that's what they're doing. And and maybe maybe it's okay for them. Maybe they are a power lifter and this is a regular part of their training and they've worked themselves up to that. You don't have to duplicate everything that you see.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the best pieces of advice that I ever got from my trainer when I first started training was that 95% of the people in the gym have no idea what they're doing. And most of them are not looking at you. So they don't know if you know what you're doing. And furthermore, you don't know where they're at in their fitness journey. And when I started training for my first bodybuilding competition, I'd look around and I would say, well, why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? And as I got closer to getting on stage, I was starting to do some of those things because that's where I was at in my training. So you really don't know where anybody's at. Maybe someone's nurturing an injury and they have to do it a certain way. You really, when you're working out, do you focus on you, what you're doing. Don't pay attention to anybody else, because if you're starting to mimic what other people are doing, you might be training for somebody, trying to copy someone's training that is nurturing an ankle injury, or trying to get to a powerlifting movement. You're not even interested in powerlifting, but you don't know. So really, just do your own thing. Get a trainer to help you with your specific goals. Know that if you have a good trainer, they're not going to give you their goals. Like for me, I don't try to train my clients to be bodybuilders. That's not their goal. That's my goal. So make sure you get your goals in line and fix things that work for you. That the rest of what other people are doing doesn't matter.
Yeah. And now we're going to get back to something where you touched upon when you were mentioning the importance of yoga with respect to the stretching, and that's certainly something. Talk about another aspect where the ego, especially for us guys, gets in the way. I don't think it's as big an issue for a lot of women, but for young guys, we don't stretch. Okay. I mean, we do not stretch. We're 20, 30 years old. There's nothing macho about lying in the stretching area and doing a hamstring stretch or anything like that. That's just not cool. And then you get to 56, which is my age. And it's like, oh boy, that stretch feels so good. And I don't care what it looks like right now.
Absolutely. What
are some of the best stretching ideas?
Yeah, the stretching is key, because if you think about it, A muscle, which is a bunch of fibers, it's all contracted. And if you're going to go in and lift weight, you want it to contract further, right? So what you have to do is lengthen it by stretching and releasing it. And then you go in and you lift weights. And you're going to get so much more results that way versus an already tight and contracted muscle. So it truly benefits you and feels good to do it that way. And honestly, I do a full body stretch for a full 10 to 15 minutes and foam roll before every workout, no matter what. And I truly believe that that's how I'm able to keep things the way that they are and without having pain. I mean, I've been practicing hygiene for 15 years and I don't have body pain unless I don't go to the gym. And it's not necessarily dental hygiene pain, but it's more like, I'm just tired and I'm fatigued. And I know that the first recipe of an MSC is fatigue. That's the first ingredient. So go to the gym, stretch, weight train, make sure that I'm strengthening everything, and then I can move on with my day. And I feel good. I can practice hygiene as long as I want to. So yeah, definitely stretching is key. I don't see as many men doing it as I think there should be. But I can tell you that the ones that are doing it, and this is a funny little thing, it's the ones that have been doing it for a long time, and it's the athletes, the trained athletes. When I go into, say, a bodybuilding gym with people who are doing competitive bodybuilding shows, or people who are doing even a CrossFit, Olympia type things, contests where they're a lot more serious about it and they're working with trainers, they all stretch. So if the experts and the professionals in sports are stretching, why wouldn't we? Because we are certainly lacking their expertise and training. So do at least what you can do there. And so when you talk about, benefits of stretching, yoga is one of those great places to do that because you stretch everything in the body and you have someone that's an instructor that can tell you which ones, which moves to do, how to stretch, how to modify your stretches. Because truly, if you stretch too much, just like if you weight train too much or you CrossFit too much or whatever, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, especially when it's done in poor form. So it's one reason that I really prefer in-class, in-person learning with an instructor versus online, because you're getting zero feedback from online. That person cannot see you. They don't know what you're doing from this angle, from that angle. So until you really get it down, it's important to have someone give you some feedback. Or maybe someone you can send a video to and say, I'm doing it this way. What do you think? And that makes a difference. So stretching, everything, when I talked about that hinge earlier, you're stretching, you want to make sure that if we're doing this all day long, what do we want to do? We want to stretch back out this way. So some of those stretches that we can do, like I said before, stretching the chest muscles, doing that hip, like you go for a long car ride, the first thing you do is you get out, you push your hips forward, and you're like, oh, thank God, right? Same thing you do at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock at the end of the day, you're pushing those hips forward. Do it a few times throughout the day. Do a stretch between every patient. I mean, that gives you 8 stretches a day. I have a full day workday stretch card that anybody who is listening, I'm happy to send it to them. If they want to email me a request, I'm happy to send a copy of it. Put it up in your operatory and pick one. Pick one. Stretching your neck, stretching your traps, stretching your shoulders. All those things are important. Take if I've got a cupboard here, I can take my arm and lean into it. I'm going to stretch my chest muscle. If I put my arm down like this and I stretch forward, I'm stretching my shoulder muscle. So there's a lot that you can do right there in the operatory that'll take you 30 seconds to do. And I know that every second that we have in dentistry is vital. It's important. It's when we could be doing something else. But if you don't put on your oxygen mask first, how are you going to advocate for your patient? Because truly, and this is something that I have been saying for 5 years now, your 4 o'clock patient deserves the 8 o'clock version of you. They deserve the person that walked in and was excited and advocated for them and was looking for things on ways to help them and benefit them. And by 4 o'clock, we are resentful that they walked in the door. And it's because we're tired and we're fatigued and our body hurts and we want to go home and whine and act. And it just doesn't have to be that way. So take care of yourself, hydrate, stretch, strengthen, get your kids involved. I mean, I've been a single mom. I was a single mom for years. I understand how difficult it is to get into the gym with the kids. I have clients whose children, they're part of her workout. And it can be fun, and you can involve them and show them a healthy lifestyle. How great is that? No, no, no.
100%. I love that. And I mean, like, it's the stretching aspect. It's just about, ways to open up the body. And I think, and you're right about that aspect too, of getting some guidance when it's something that's new to you. I know a lot of people over the pandemic have probably discovered there's some great fitness trainers that do stuff and put videos online. And for people that maybe are used to working out, so they kind of get the idea of what feels good on their bodies, and if they've got to modify something, what modifications work for them. But I've always sort of felt the same in that sense, that if it's new to you, you might not appreciate it, and you're feeling this twinge of pain that maybe you shouldn't be feeling, but you don't know what is causing it and what you can do instead. So you just keep trying to do more, thinking it'll go away. And there isn't someone watching you to say, no, I can see that that's not working for you. So those videos, great when you've got some experience and you know what you're looking for, but learn a little bit first. Learn a little bit first.
It's definitely not for everybody. And I think adding to that, my question is always, how is that working for you? If you're still having pain, or you're not growing muscle, you're not losing body fat, if that's your goal, whatever your goals are, whatever you want to see come to fruition, how is it working for you? If what you're doing is working, awesome, do it, keep doing it. If you feel great, keep doing whatever the thing is that makes you feel great. If that's CrossFit, good for you. If that's bodybuilding, good for you. If you do yoga 17 days a week, that's good for you too, as long as it feels good, right? But if you're not getting to where you need to be, there's your sign. So it might be worth paying a personal trainer, one session to say, can you help me with this one exercise? I don't feel like I'm doing it right. Can you watch me squat? Can you watch me do rows? Because I find that that's a really common one. We talk about back strengthening and rows and how beneficial that is. A very common thing that I see is people will do rows with their back like this. That's not helping you. That's hurting you. So if you want to maximize your exercise, spend the one session fee and get some feedback, because you can't see you inside of you. It's the same reason that we hand a patient a mirror and say, watch this, and you floss with them or for them. You show them how to wrap the floss around the tube, and then you give it to them and you have them do it. And then it's a dialogue, it's a conversation with demonstration and all the things. And if you do that with someone who understands what you're trying to achieve, and you're not getting it on your own, you can fix it. And then you're back to doing it on your own.
And bear in mind too, and this is something I did a few years ago, when I worked with a personal trainer for a few months, was exercise science changes. As with everything else in the world of science, things that we once upon a time were 100% sure of, sometimes we discover, oops, maybe that wasn't quite right. And when you did the rows, that made me think, because I can remember, I'm going back to the 80s now, because I'm an old guy. When I was new to the gym and I was doing, seated pulley rows. One of the things that was always coached on for seated pulley rows is you came all the way forward. And all the way back. And then now I see a lot more people going, no, you're not going to move that much, because you're not really going to be doing yourself a favor when you do that. The science, the knowledge, the things we've learned about doing rows properly has changed from 1983 to 2022. So
yeah. Well, and the doctors used to tell women to smoke cigarettes when they were pregnant to deal with their anxiety. Okay, we've evolved. Thankfully, we've evolved. So yeah, I love that. That's a great thing. And functional exercise was never a thing before. No one heard of that. It's all about doing things that you do in life, strengthening those motions that you need to replicate so that you can do so safely, and so that you can, be strong, not just in strength. And that's something that, oftentimes bodybuilding is lacking. It's about an aesthetic sport as opposed to functionality and mobility and and agility and things like that. Those are things that our most high level athletes are doing. They're doing, movements that will help them to run fast and jump high and do things. And isn't that kind of what we want? We want to be able to get on the floor and play with our kids and, and run and go hang out and dance and have a great time. And if it's just about aesthetics and growing muscle, yeah, you look pretty, but then what?
Yeah.
What we want is to not have pain because we're strong. We want to look good in our clothes. We want to be able to have a good time in our life and enjoy life. So yeah, I love the point that you brought about. We're different, we're growing, we're learning new things, and it's always going to change, and that's good.
Yeah. So lots of great tips, I think, that the dental professionals out there can take with them to, as you say, look after you. Because I mean, at the end of the day, yes, we're dedicated to our patient care. We want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to provide for the best quality oral health for our patients. But if we're not able to do something to look after ourselves, our ability to look after others is going to be compromised. So
Yeah.
if people are looking, and looking for more advice and maybe some coaching tips and things like that from you, Katrina, where they can look after themselves better, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
They can email me. I'm at ergofitlife@gmail.com. They can also go onto my Instagram, which is ergofitlife_Katrina. They can also find me on Facebook, which is shockingly ergofitlife. There's a group, there's a page. I'm there too. You can request me. I don't mind. I'm always talking about people. So yeah, I mean, anytime, reach out. I like to help people. I like to give as much information as I can because at the end of the day, that's what I like doing. I like helping people. And I just happen to find a really unique way to do it.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for agreeing to be with us again. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And I hope everyone gets a lot of valuable information out of this, and maybe can use this to augment their existing fitness journey. Maybe it's something that it sort of motivates some of you to take their first steps down that path and look for ways that you can take better care of yourself, knowing that there are positive ways to go about that. And you can make some mistakes if you don't take the time to learn to do it the right way. So any closing thoughts with respect to that, Katrina?
No, I think that was perfect. I really appreciate being on again, and I always love talking with you. I like sharing with the audience, and I'm always here. So yeah, have a good time, and I appreciate you letting me come on again.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on this installment of Quick Hits. We'll be back again in the near future with that mystery guest. Who knows who it's going to be? In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, by all means, please make sure that you press like. If you have any questions or comments that you want to make, by all means, put those comments into the comments section here on YouTube. And of course, you can subscribe to the Dental Peers YouTube channel, and that will make sure that you get up-to-date information as to when any new videos are being added. So looking forward to being back again with another guest in the future. But until that time, take care. Start that fitness journey now. Bye, everyone.